On Saturday, October 15, 2005, I faced one of the largest crises in my life. It was 10 a.m. and my father asked me if I wanted to go to Kenton's farm. It was a farm that was roughly 30 miles from our house, and he volunteered to fix a tractor and one of our lawnmowers. I quickly answered with a yes, and my brother decided he'd tag along with us as well. We never really got to spend a whole lot of time there when we were kids, because it was about 30 minutes from home, and we didn't really want to make the drive every night. When we got there, I dashed straight to the chicken coop because I didn't know a whole lot about tractors or lawnmowers at the time, but I definitely knew chickens. They were pretty sweet. On my way back to the backside of the barn, I ran into Kenton's hired hands, Kevin and Greg, and they were riding the four-wheelers around, checking cattle fence. They asked if we wanted to jump on and ride with them to do the chores. The chores consisted of checking the cattle fence, feeding the chickens, and making sure the goats were well fed. We headed to the far pasture by the pond to make sure that the fence over there was good all the way around the farm. When we finished checking the three pastures, we decided to have a little fun on the four-wheelers instead of just riding them around. I slid to the back of the rack on the four-wheeler, and my brother did the same on the other quad. The reason was we decided we'd play a good game of tag. Not a bright idea, I know, you're probably thinking, but it was a good idea at the time. Well, all the good things soon come to an end, as you may know, and this particular event didn't end with a pleasant memory. The two four-wheelers ended up colliding on our way back to the barn across the field. I went over the handlebars, and the four-wheeler drove me into the ground. I was knocked out, and all I remember is waking up in the back seat of a car on my way to the hospital. We arrived at Grinnell Regional Medical Center around 1 p.m. They rolled me in a wheelchair because I couldn't necessarily walk because I couldn't feel any of my bones or my back at the time. They did spinal and neck x-rays, and when the results came back, they said the stuff they found was too extent for them to handle there, so they rushed me to the Iowa City Medical Center, which is about an hour drive by car. When I arrived there, I was coming in and out. I didn't really remember the trip on the way up. Kind of felt unreal. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, but it was kind of a feeling that you weren't there and it wasn't really happening. All I remember is being really thirsty. I wasn't able to drink anything before the MRIs and the other scans they were doing and tests, so I had to have a cotton swab on my mouth. And after that, the last thing I remember is waking up in the hospital with a neck brace, breathing tube, several broken bones, 4 broken ribs, a broken clavicle, a collarbone, punctured left lung, fractured 3 vertebrae in my neck, and fractured 3 bones in my hand. The doctor told me that I should have been wearing a helmet, but he said in this particular event, he was glad that I wasn't, because I probably wouldn't have been able to walk out of the hospital. I spent 2 weeks in there with no memory or recognition of any of the people that had come up to visit me. It was like it almost never happened, but it did. The main thing I learned from this is that life changes, and it changes fast, so you don't really want to take it for granted.